Bitcoin's alive, what you gon' do? Mempool fees are high. Ordinal. Where does it stop? Nobody knows. It's a revolution. Ay, Bitcoin is the one, no substitution. Ay, with Shizzy and Yagobi, it's Ordinal Revolution.
Welcome back to Ordinal Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin Ordinal Ecosystem. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Ordinal Hour. Friday night, we're live. We're gonna have a really good time tonight. It's gonna be chill. It's gonna be very relaxed. We're gonna be on a little bit, guys. So just it's gonna be really fun. We got some really good topics to talk about, and of course, our special guest for this evening is none other than C.B Spears. We're gonna get into a whole bunch of topics. It's gonna be really fun. If you guys have any questions for anything at all, throw them in the comments. We'll definitely get to them by the end of the show. We're going to be doing some really cool thing tonight. We're going to be giving away some really cool prizes. Well, one of them is the blue wand. I'm giving away one blue wand tonight, so definitely check that out. So we're going to ask you a trivia question, and you're just going to go to ord.io, and then you're going to just reply the answer. The first person that has the reply to the answer wins. Super simple. I have it. It's I'll put it in the chat a few times. It's number 56321-706. So I'll keep putting it in the chat. I'll put a banner at the bottom. Really simple, real easy. But without further ado, let me bring in my partner, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. That was a dope looking OG pass that was just like rotating. I was like, man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out 3D Eric. Shout out you. You guys did a freaking amazing job. I barely had any. I just had the looks great. Let's do it. But but 3D Eric did a great job. You Yagobi did an amazing job. You outdid yourself with this one, man. Looks phenomenal. And many people don't know what this means right here. Do you know what it means?
Yeah, well, let's leave a little mystery out there. Let's kind of figure it out. You'll notice a pattern on there. But hey, guys, this is just a little something we're having for fun. We'll give some more details as time permits.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know what's going on with it. We're actually going to be in talks with a whole bunch of people that kind of partner with us to give this thing some utility. We're probably going to launch in potentially a few months. I want to launch around Bitcoin's all-time high. I think that'll just be a cool little thing. But we're still talking about everything. Nothing is locked in, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, just enjoy the beauty of it for now.
Without further ado, it looks like the man, the myth, the legend's here. Mr. C.B Spears. Charlie, welcome to Ordinal Revolution, man. Your second appearance.
Hey, guys. Yeah, Shizzy, Yagobi. Is it Yagobi or Yagobi? Well, how do I say it? I forget.
Well, it's Yagobi, but 95% of the Ordinal space just calls me Yagobi. And even the guy that created our intro song says Yagobi. So I just go with whatever just go with the flow at the moment.
No, I get it. I'll do Yagobi.
All right.
Yeah, nice to be back, guys.
You're in the circle now. You're in the circle.
Well, yeah, nice to be back, guys.
Yeah.
Are you guys still doing this like nights and weekends, like during the free time you have outside of the day job?
Yeah, I mean, we're consistent with what days we hit it. But yeah, it's still definitely outside of our full-time jobs, right? As of right now, our goal is to do it full-time, and we'll get there.
I feel that. I mean, respect you guys. I mean, I remember like when I first came on, I was going back through the backlog, and you guys are doing this like every day, and that's impressive. Just incredibly prolific, and you've had like everybody on. That's incredible. So it's kind of like I go back through like all the episodes, and I'm kind of I don't watch them all, but I look at who you had, what you talked about. It's like a really good like timeline of the topics which were talked about in Ordinals for the past 6 months to 9 months. It's kind of a great way to almost catalog just what was happening this month, what was happening that month. So
yeah, for sure, man. Well, we appreciate the kind words, and we're just glad to have you back on. And I think to your point about kind of having everybody on, there's a couple of people we still kind of need to get on the show, but we definitely tried to kind of just hit every different kind of area too, because look, there's people that kind of stay in their little areas, but not intentionally maybe, but it just kind of happens that way. That's human nature. And what we wanted to do was kind of get a little bit of everybody's perspective, and we're definitely glad to have had you on the show. So
Yeah. So what's up? I don't know. Do you want me to ask you guys questions? Do you want me to ask me questions? I mean, okay. Here's my first question. What's most interesting in ordinals to you guys right now? What's like the thing that is most exciting for you guys?
I can take
you
that
go.
first.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
think we both have the same answer. We think it's Merlin chain. I don't know if you looked into it yet. It's the BRC 420 guy, Jeffrey from Recursiverse, now Bitmap Tech. They're building
Yeah.
around bitmaps and stuff, dude. The BRC for 420 space is exploding right now. To us, that is number one.
I saw you go live like it was like last week. It was like called like Merlin Chain Research or something.
Yeah,
And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, so I haven't had time to really look into it. I mean, you know me, I tend to
Yeah.
always be a critic, but I do like to like look at this stuff because I think it's fascinating, like what makes the ecosystem tick. Merlin chain, I've pinned that. I've opened up a tab or two a few times and then
Yeah.
never got around to it. Yeah, what's like the one takeaway? If you could like do like a 2 or 3 line summary of what you think is interesting, what would you say?
Tokenizing bitmaps. I think there's a BRC20 called the W map token. In this layer 2, you're going to be able to take your bitmap, you're going to be able to deposit it, and you're going to be able to receive, depending on the number of your bitmap, say if it's 4 digits or 6 digits, the 6-digit floor ones are going to get 1,000 tokens per bitmap. So you're going to be able to tokenize these, which is going to allow the whales to kind of buy them. So not only will they be on the layer 2, but you're able to bridge them out into BRC20 as well, because they are a BRC20 token. So all the tokens are in one wallet right now, but on the inside, you're going to be, depositing and receiving them and then bridging them out to BRC20 and be able to trade them on Unisat or potentially even something like OmniSat in the future as well. That's me. That's number one.
That's a pretty good package. So Yagobi, how about you? Same thing?
Well, I'm definitely really bullish on Merlin Chain. The founder is just somebody that has always kind of done what he said he's going to do. And I know the ZK roll up and kind of layer 2 thing right now, a lot of people are kind of like, well, until we've seen it, we're going to not believe it until we see it. Obviously, we have a relationship with a lot of these builders, so our confidence is high in what he's been building. But I'm also super interested in when Runes launches closer to the halving, right? And initially when Casey had announced Runes, it kind of like rattled me a bit, but I quickly learned that he has definitely like a way to command this like attention in the space, not necessarily as like this narcissist or anything like that, just more of like because he is the creator of ordinals. And what really made me even more bullish on it was the teams in China that are building these layer 2 solutions for BRC20. They're super interested in Runes, and it's because Casey is the mastermind behind it. So I'm definitely interested in that. Whenever it launches, obviously in the halving, I'll be ready for it. Hopefully.
Yeah, I think it's really funny because like, the halving is this celebrated event that mainly only the hardcore Bitcoiners have observed. But it's like now the ordinals crowd and the speculative like fungible token crowd, everyone's got their eyes set on block 840,000. It's like weird that like if I were to ask, like I know that over the next few weeks, if I like take a little sample poll of like people who are interested in like the fungible token stuff on Bitcoin, if I ask like what block is the halving, a lot of people would be able to tell me. They'd be like, oh yeah, I can actually go through. I remember like I have this log somewhere, which is crazy to me because like nobody like that's kind of weird, outsider information that's not really been tracked. But here we are. If there's a token standard launch at the block, everybody anticipates it. And I had a few tweets on this because I like it from a mining angle. Like it creates an interesting event that we all know is going to happen that could have some really interesting effects on Bitcoin mining itself. So
Yeah,
that's been on my mind lately.
well, I mean, it's pretty interesting because Casey also, had to set the block height for Jubilee. So there's like, it's funny because like all these like monetary maximalists that was kind of how Bitcoin maximalists were before. They were trying to educate the masses on Bitcoin, but you really probably didn't have people being able to tell you what the halving block was before, as many as now that are in the ordinal space. And I feel like that proves that like Ordinals has educated and onboarded a lot of people that these maxis were calling kind of shitcoiners, right? And stuff, and they're getting educated. I don't know what's your thoughts on that.
Man, I'm all over the place here. I think you can. So what's funny is like I have dabbled in and found other blockchains really interesting for years now. I just didn't really get to like talk about it in kind of my platform. I really didn't have much of a voice. I was mainly in the mining space. I knew Bitcoin from more of an industry standpoint. But I've always kind of enjoyed meme coins because they're fun and lighthearted. I think I've always been really good at criticizing. Well, structurally, some of these have issues, but to see them on Bitcoin is a trip because nobody expected this. I don't really hate them. I am fine being the guy who's like really critical of the technical challenges and the structural technical roadblocks that sit ahead of a lot of the current fungible token standards. I think it's a really interesting case study in markets, and I have for years kind of described myself as a Bitcoin accelerationist, which is this idea that there is a lot of Bitcoin adoption yet to come, and a lot of the adoption is going to be this weird, chaotic. It can feel very confusing, and it can also be kind of painful for this adoption to happen. So I want to get to the end. I want to get to full Bitcoin adoption fast. So I would like to accelerate that. And what I see is that regardless of whether it's NFTs on Bitcoin, fungible tokens on Bitcoin, ultimately I am on the side of, well, these get more people in the ecosystem. I think this is good. So a year ago today, people said you couldn't put NFTs on Bitcoin. 4 months ago, people said Bitcoin wasn't Turing complete. I think a year from now and 5 years from now, a lot of things we said, things that Bitcoin couldn't do, are going to be challenged or perhaps entirely invalidated. So, yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with meme coins. I own a lot, obviously. I get more interested in the kind of analysis of them than I do like the speculation on the tickers. You'll notice that I try to avoid like saying specific tickers, and I more like get into like, oh, like BRC20 has this thing, and then here's this other standard CBRC20, and here's like the technical, difference between the two, and I'm interested in this, and yeah, so that's kind of where I come from. And then I sometimes am critical, which is kind of funny because I think it pits me against a lot of the degens who think that like being critical of the technical underpinnings of something does not mean that it's not going to go up. Like in fact, listen to my words. If I'm critical of this technical underpinnings of a token, you should probably buy the shit out of it because you should just fade me perpetually. Yeah. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, that actually brings up one of the topics I wanted to discuss, and we pretty much have been talking about it, here in the last couple of minutes. But is Bitcoin monetary maximalism dying? And Bitcoin tech and innovation maximalism is on the rise, because that's what I feel like. It's been there, but it's been kind of suppressed until Ordinals has come, and I feel like it's exploded. And I want to pass it to Shizzy first to kind of see your thoughts on that. Do you feel like the Peter McCormicks, those the Max Kaisers, the monetary maximalists? Do you feel like that group is losing power and the innovators are gaining power? Well, that's kind of where I'm at. What do you think?
That's weird. It's sorry. I was like, it's weird because like I think Bitcoin maximalism is growing, but not in the way of the old maximalism. Like I got called a Bitcoin maximalist the other day because I was like, no, only ordinals. They're like, oh, maxi, and I was like, hold on. Technically, I'm a Bitcoin maxi now. And I was, I loved Phantom, I loved DeFi, I loved, all that stuff. And I was like, holy crap, like I've turned into a maxi. I just think the word maxi now is kind of broader, to include ordinals and all this other stuff. And I just think it's a matter of time before the original maxis kind of see that and come along this way too. So,
yeah. I think it's funny. The word maximalist has taken many different forms over the years.
Yeah.
I probably would have described myself as a maxi before it was shortened to maxi and really just more of the classical maximalist back in maybe 2018. But I didn't really like the kind of growing what it seemed like this kind of distaste, and it seemed more reactionary than anything. So in 2019, I was like, I think I don't really want to describe myself as this. Um, I I think the maxi camp continues to grow a little bit, but they're not the driver of the majority of Bitcoin adoption going forwards. To me, it's pretty clear that the majority of Bitcoin adoption going forwards is going to be driven by people who don't really have a they don't really fall into the maximalist maxi camp. Pete Rizzo, who's like a Bitcoin historian,
Yeah.
um, he talks a lot about this and how he has this one good interview with Galaxy. It's before the Peter McCormack interview, where he talks about Bitcoin the platform and Bitcoin the monetary network. And I think there's a lot of other things that Bitcoin can be and is, and it certainly seems we're seeing play out right now. Just a different view of how the Bitcoin network performs. Some people say it's the hardest money. I think this is true. Some people say it's the most free permissionless network. I think that's also true. I think Bitcoin has abundant narratives which it can morph into over the years, and I don't really land on any one in particular right now. I think this is a conversation we'll have to discover over the next decade. We only are really laying the groundwork for it right now. So, what's funny is Peter McCormack actually came to my town to do an interview and film some of our sites. I'm a Bitcoin miner. And what's funny is this was while I was actually like moderating the Ordicord as like I was like out at an oil in the oil field, like at a gas well, like showing him around in like steel toe boots, and he's like filming it. You can see he's got a documentary right up here. And but like when I'm not on camera, I've got my like phone open and I'm like trying to maintain the teeming hordes and masses who are trying to figure out how to set up full nodes. So it was really funny that he's like the guy. I'm pretty sure I even like talked to him about it then, but I don't remember exactly what I said. So yeah, funny timeline we live in.
Well, do you see that group, I hate to say it, but let's just say the Laser Eye group, right?
Yeah.
Do you see them losing kind of their footing or their power or influence? Because that interview with Pete Rizzo and Peter McCormack was actually, it was really insightful in my opinion. Obviously, you can see the passion from Pete Rizzo talking about ordinal. He loves ordinals, but it was more of how that shift of power is possibly happening. And now instead of like these laser eyes picking on like all these other crypto chain, shit corners, if you will, that they were calling them. Now it's like you got the Udis and Erics and everybody else calling them like laser eyes, making fun of them. And it's almost kind of like the roles have reversed, is what Pete Rizzo seemed like he was saying. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Rizzo actually references, he makes one of the best analogies I've heard, which is if you go back to the block size wars in 15, 16, and 17, what it's framed as big blockers versus small blockers, but he makes the point SegWit, the small block solution, is actually a block size increase. People say no, so we're changing the weighting of the block. No, it's the blocks are actually bigger. And he rather characterizes it as people who think Bitcoin is this one narrow definition, and then the evolution of Bitcoin has to conform into that narrow definition, and then people who have more of a responsive approach to Bitcoin consensus. And the narrow definition is from people who said Bitcoin is for fast, easy, cheap payments. Everything should be able to be in a block. And that is the big blocker camp. So the tone of the different ideologies here of the Bitcoin maximalist says Bitcoin has this narrow definition, and if you stray from that, you're anti-Bitcoin. And the other camp is a little bit more agnostic and open to it. Now, there's this like anti-maximalism, which is like the people who make it their whole brand to hate on maxis. I don't really align with myself with that. I just like don't align myself with maxis. I would see like I just want to move forwards. and I want more people to use Bitcoin next year than last year. And that's kind of my heuristic for, is this network succeeding?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Shizzy, what do you think? Last words on this, because we got a lot of topics. What do you think?
Yeah, man. Like, to his point, like, I think the only people who are really anti-maxis are probably the bankless ETH guys, right? The guys who are
Yeah.
just like so far on that side that they just, Bitcoin's pet rock. You know what I mean? The Jamie Dimon type of thing, type of it. But yeah, I mean, I mean, to finish the conversation off, I think it's just a matter of time before the I guess laser eyes maxis become kind of looking over here to ordinals and just kind of going, yeah, maybe this isn't that as bad as
It's
Ethereum.
happening
Right?
already.
So,
Like
yeah,
Adam Back came out and made some posts and some of these more traditional laser eyes, if you will. I almost feel kind of bad after I watched that interview with Pete Rizzo. I don't want to say that no more for some reason, but it is what it is, right? And
yeah,
but it seems like they're starting to kind of open up a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. So I saw Peter in person last week, and we had a nice chat because it was funny. Is like he and Peter and Peter both texted me the interview the morning it was released, which is, I guess, everybody thinks of me when they think of ordinals, which I feel weird. I should text Casey. And then another thing is, I don't broadcast this ever, but I also got to chat at length with Luke Dash Jr. in person last week, which
Oh,
was an interesting.
did you record it? No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
no. There's a in this kind of conference, there's an attitude called Chatham House rules where you can say what was discussed, but you don't say who said
Yeah.
what. And why we didn't talk about inscriptions or ordinals with I didn't talk about inscriptions or ordinals with Luke. I just mainly talked more about other things in Bitcoin because I don't think we'd have a good productive discussion.
Yeah.
And also, he is a legend and very respected in the space. And I would rather just not try to talk about this. Let Bitcoin itself decide what transactions should happen, and then Luke and I can have a nice colloquial relationship. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that was a good conversation to kick it off,
well, it was
man.
fun.
Love that. This is insightful, in depth there. So let's move on to this. I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about seems like you're a team captain on the Quantum Cat Alive team. Are you the captain? Is that how it is?
I found out I was captain while I was on that Spaces. So I mean, I've gone back and forth with Udi, Reindel, Farr, and for a long time, and we've worked with them on some stuff. And so I've known them pretty well. So I just said, yeah, sure, I'll help do this. I like this idea. I like the idea of jump starting discourse on a new opcode, and opcat seems to make a lot of sense. Yeah, it was a really fun thing to help push forwards. It was a lot more work than I anticipated because my Twitter was totally ripped, and then we had to do like a lot of work on like corralling everybody and I guess grading. But overall, I thought it was a really fun thing because what opcat is very difficult to explain. Even to technical people, it is hard to understand. And to even like talk about, do we put this thing into Bitcoin or not, requires a mass education event. Like it's just, and like just people are not going to understand it just because it is kind of so obscure. The idea of Bitcoin script is pretty obscure. So I love being a part of that. And now there's a compendium, a large amount of resources on from the kind of oversimplified video meme format to the deep, long, like abundant, like 50 technical slide report on what opcat is. And those will be compiled by the Taproot Wizards and put out there. And it's also kind of interesting to see like their thesis. Like a lot of people like ask, what do they raise money for? They raise like millions of dollars, right? Like, what are they doing? It's actually kind of interesting to see this play out because like what is an NFT culture? What is the purpose of these like social networks? And if anything, it makes sense for the social network to be a way to coordinate action. And the most important coordinating of action happens with the coordinating of doing things on Bitcoin. So it takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of interesting kind of ways of skinning this cat to actually do and propose things such as getting opcat activated. Now, there's a bunch of other opcodes that if we want to talk about, I would actually probably point people to what's called opctv or check template verify as probably like the thing everybody should really look at. But opcat was a really, really fun one. Like, how do you sell, what does a CTV animal look like? Nobody, that's not a thing. So the cat is very mimetically synergistic, and that's why it works.
Yeah, I actually saw someone post about the CTV saying that it's probably more efficient than opcat in terms of if you were to use that or implement that. But I mean, I love the fact that like they're rolling this into like the project of Quantum Cat, so it's kind of like an educational, twist to it. But like Shizzy had made a point, and I'll let you talk on it, Shizzy, that you don't think that it would probably get passed, right? Like you don't think like it would get upgraded anyways, right?
I don't think no changes will ever come to Bitcoin again. I just think that with BlackRock in there and Coinbase, I just don't see these big guys letting anything type of pass. Because I mean, the shareholders kind of run a lot of these miners now. Not all of them, but most of them, and they have a lot of say in it. And the shareholders, they probably hold a lot of Bitcoin because they obviously believe in it to invest in a mining company. So to me, I just don't think that someone like BlackRock's gonna let anything get past now. I think Bitcoin is gonna be locked down. I think the only way the code will get upgraded is if like something crazy happens. That's just what I think. What do you think, Charlie?
That's a really interesting perspective, Shizzy. You have an abundant amount of like interesting takes which make me think. I remember you like threw me for a loop with your bitmap take last time. I was like, I really appreciate this angle. This is also an interesting angle. I don't hear this take from the Ordinals camp very often. The Ordinals camp seems to be almost optimistic and sure that Bitcoin's going to change, but here you are saying you don't think it is, and that's an interesting take because
it's too risky for them.
Yeah,
it's too risky for BlackRock. They don't want any changes. They don't want nothing bad happen to their big stash.
That's interesting. Here's a scenario.
Yeah.
Like remember how the fees were high last month and it was like really expensive to transact on Bitcoin? Well, imagine that times 10 or times 50 in a year or two from now.
Yeah.
And it's like very expensive to transact on Bitcoin. In such a scenario, there'll be a lot of people like yelling and clamoring for someone to do something, and there'll be a lot of momentum behind alternative solutions, but then there may also be way more scaling solutions. I don't know. That is an interesting take, and I do appreciate that. I really like contrarian takes.
That's my counter like argument to people saying it's going to get really expensive. I think it's actually going to get cheaper. I think there's going to be so many layer twos. I mean, there's a mining company in Canada publicly traded, and they told me that they're working on a layer two solution, and you got all these layer two solutions happening. I think that they're gonna find ways, and obviously when you get really expensive, like things happen, right? There's money to be made in different places. So I think to a lot of these layer twos are actually going to figure out ways to do things, whether it's ZK rollups or modular systems or whatever.
Sovereign rollups too.
Sovereign rollups too. There's going to be innovation happening that doesn't land on main chain until later and potentially a lot cheaper.
This is really interesting. So, are you familiar with the concept of Jevon's paradox? Jevon paradox. It's commonly in the it's a paradox often referred to for energy consumption.
Okay.
And the idea is that if you increase the efficiency of something, the efficiency of the production of something, it does not necessarily result in the decrease of demand, but rather result in the net increase in demand for that thing. And we can look at this in energy, where we have become so much more energy efficient today than we were 100 years ago, yet we consume way more energy today. And I look at this in a similar capacity. I think we'll see this happen in block space, where roll-ups actually specifically, they do do a lot of scaling off chain, but then they resolve it in ZK proof, ZK verifier on chain. And I think that that's actually going to create orders of magnitude more demand off chain, which will have on chain a net increase in on chain effects. But I don't know. These are all hypothetical, and I'm just really glad you got me talking about this. So, This is an interesting conversation.
So one question about opcats real quick that
Yeah.
I keep getting a lot from our community is the 0.1, 0.1 Bitcoin, the 4,200 as of today is for the mint. Obviously, they're raising a lot of money. Eric and I'm guessing they have at backers as well, and they have a whole team to pay and a lot of stuff. But is 0.1 necessary for something like this?
That's a good question. I don't know, man. It's expensive. I don't profit off this mint.
Yeah.
I do get a disclosure. I get a free opcat. I get a free cat for helping in the judging thing, and I like Udi and Eric and the project. It's expensive, yeah. But I was on a space with Udi a day or two ago, and he's like, "Well, our we're a business, we run a company, we're in the business of making money, and it's capital intensive to do a lot of things. Is if you think of this as kind of a marketing and tech budget, tech on the uh hiring more technically proficient people to implement various versions of like activation clients for Bitcoin Core and giant marketing spend for events, um, marketing campaigns, R&D, then it makes sense. But I'm speculating these are things he's thrown out there as things that
Yeah.
they're doing. I would expect it to mint out.
Oh yeah, I do
But
too. Definitely.
yeah, but dude, I don't know.
That's $14 million.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot. It's a lot of money. I know they're like trying to throw a bone to like people who really participated. Like they're giving out a lot of free ones, and they're doing prints.
Like gamma
So,
prints.
yeah, they're doing like a whole like
Oh, wow.
400 of like the gamma prints for free, giving those out. And there's 100 or so people who are just getting free cats. I think I forget the exact. It's around there. Just for like really good high quality submissions. Yeah, I wonder. I'll kind of make this point because I made this point to Businessman on a space where I was like, okay, so if the goal of Taproot Wizards was to extract as much from the ecosystem as possible, pretty sure they would have sold all the wizards sometime in the past year. So this is clearly part of a larger like strategy for them. And then I also think there's they've talked about like how the cats work under the hood, but I don't think a lot of people like really understood all the stuff. It's very, very interesting to I think we'll see a very, very interesting, perhaps even year-long like iteration of the cats as certain
Yeah.
milestones are hit and they do stuff. I'm speculating here, but I also know Rindell pretty well, and we actually proposed a similar technique last summer to a potential client who didn't do it, and so I kind of know the headspace and design thinking here, and it's pretty interesting. So yeah, I don't know. This is one where I've tried not to comment on the price too much because I don't really think I have a lot of insight
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah.
I kind of want to let like the market decide. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
and
I mean,
the market will definitely decide. So be referring.
yeah, and I was gonna say the fact that they came out straight up without hesitation and just said what the price was too. I like, yes, it's not something I'm gonna probably mint, but at least they're not like dancing around it, and saying, oh well, it's gonna be it could be this, it could be that. They just said, hey, look, this is the price. If it's not for you, then it's not for you. If it is, then it is. And I think that's okay, in the market that we're in. And if they were truly like, an ordinals market extractor, I don't think that they would try to extract right now. They would probably try to extract closer to the halving or like afterwards, right? So it's just there's definitely those people with that mindset, but I just don't see that with them because look, they've been here for the entire time. Udi, you either love him or hate him in terms of his personality, but he's had a lot, in my opinion, he's had a lot of positive in terms of moving the ordinal space forward and innovation on Bitcoin, even though he might not have the best delivery the way he does it, right? So that's
Yeah. Oh, I can empathize with that because I've found myself kind of a public figure, and so now stuff that I say, which is like kind of stupid, it now like gets immortalized and resurrected, and I'm like,
inscribed on the
okay,
chain.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so I guess that's the way it is. I'm fine with the trade-offs, but like, yeah, I've like, I see now. I've got little tastes of what it's like to have like a giant platform or megaphone. And Udi definitely wants it. I've told Udi this, but I kind of wish you were less harsh and less like comical about stuff, because I think his best work is when he's actually kind of serious, when he actually wants to say, "Here's my actual thoughts on something," or when he's like, "Here's my um, here's my true opinion and encouragement or discouragement towards stuff." But yeah,
Yeah, but that
Udi,
wouldn't be Udi.
it
Udi's
wouldn't
totally
be.
Udi. You
Dude, the
know, it's
Maxis cannot stop talking about him. I go
Yeah.
to anywhere else and they're only talking about Udi. It's like he's like
How much
latched
they
into
hate
that.
him, right?
Dude, they have Udi derangement syndrome. It's insane.
running
Yeah.
rent free in their brains.
Well,
That's
Dude,
I
hilarious.
feel like it after that like Bitcoin conference this past year, it was like it's over. Like he's he's made his like position permanent in terms of there's a war between him and the traditional laser eyes, and it's just how it is, And the whole Greg Foss thing, that was a fun back and forth, but yeah, it's gonna be
yeah,
interesting
dude.
this next Bitcoin conference, like what happens.
Yeah, I was just in Nashville last week, so I plan on being there again for the conference, for the big one, Bitcoin Nashville from Bitcoin Magazine.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna make that one as well. So maybe we can link up there. We got a question from the audience here. Caleb O. Can you talk about the Bitcoin halving reorg 84? What is that? I can't
840,000. Yeah.
840,000.
Yeah. So this is interesting. This is what I said at the top of the show, and this is kind of one of my favorite talking points. So I guess I'll start from the top here. So, Bitcoin mining, or rather Bitcoin block production, is becoming increasingly competitive. One question is, what if two miners find a block at the same time? What happens? That block, those blocks are sent out and propagated through the Bitcoin node network. And what can happen is, the network, one basically ends up taking over the rest of the network, and there's kind of a probabilistic nature to it. And there's a whole science around how these like the true block is like actually arrived at. But what happens is the block that's not arrived at can get what's called orphaned, which means it kind of goes over here and the chain isn't built off of it. Similarly, there are strategies in Bitcoin mining and block production where you can find a block and then sit on it and not release it and start mining on top of that block for the next block. So you basically you've already found one, and you're going to start now like mining on top of it to get what's called the heaviest chain. You've done the most proof of work on that particular chain. And then let's say you're watching the network and you see in a millisecond one block from someone else pop up and start propagating through the network. You can release both blocks that you've got at the same time, and those basically compete in the network. And because nodes will see that the two blocks you've got versus the one block the other person has, the two blocks are heavier, and then that will be the canonical chain. I'm trying to explain this to arrive at something here. So let's say that block 840,000, the first block of the halving, is going to have the epic sat. It's going to have all these fees from all these people doing runes launches. And that block is probably $1 million block. That's maybe a $3 million block, right? So this is where the competitive mining angle can come in, and it's really fucking cool because let's say if you're a block producer or a miner, you can like in advance of the block of the halving coming, a block or two ahead, you just start sitting on chaining these blocks together, building up your kind of like your arsenal here. And as soon as you see block 839,999 come in, you just blast all of your blocks into the network, and you get 840, 840,001, 840,002. And then the next person has to mine off 840,002. And so that basically guarantees you getting the that giant bounty of a block. Now, similarly, if someone else gets 840,000, if you've got 2 blocks ready to go, you can send that, and the nodes which already think that the 840,000th block was mined by pool A, you can come along as pool B and reorg their reality and basically become the canonical chain. So this is where I'm trying to explain a multitude of different like attacks, or like what are called like reorg strategies on Bitcoin, where the competition of Bitcoin mining can get really interesting. And this is where I like to imagine like what's going to happen, because like what's an epic Satoshi worth, right? It
A
like
lot.
exactly. Yeah, it's like a rare whatever sold for like 150, quarter million or something. So if you just do the math, and there's only 3 epic sats out there, this is the 4th one. And I know for a fact one of the epic sats will never be accessed. One of them is dubious, and the 3rd one I have my own suspicions about. But the 4th one is up for grabs. I mean, that's $1 million sat. That could be a $5 million sat.
$20 million sat. Like,
yeah.
It could be. I mean, there's probably no price tag for it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
so the thing is, I don't know if pools are actually trying to get that epic sat. Being as somebody who works at a pool, and I talk and I look at how other pools think about things, I think the community is overvaluing like how much attention Bitcoin miners have on this. Like, but what I do think is everybody knows that block 840,000 is going to have a shit ton of fees from just the runes. From the runes. I mean, that alone is going to be, it's going to be 10, 20, maybe 30 Bitcoin worth of people trying
and everything's going to be euphoric too during that time, I feel like.
Yeah. So 30 Bitcoin is like worth 2 epic sats, basically, if you do the math. So, I mean, if you think an epic sat's worth $1 million to $2 million, 30 Bitcoin, you can do the math, is $1.5, $2 million. So like, this is real money. And the miners want the fees. Their software that the mining pools use to build the blocks knows this and says, if there's a high fee block, we want to compete for that. And so that's a really interesting kind of scenario that we could find ourselves in. And the funny thing is, like, I'm really the only one of the few people who's even talking about this right now. Like, I think because a lot of Bitcoin miners are outside the ordinals world, like this hasn't clicked in their heads. But eventually, some of the smarter people will start talking about this. Really, what I have is just like a little bit of, I'm a little bit more familiar with like the world of fungible tokens of Bitcoin than your average Bitcoin mining analyst. So I'm able to be like, this is going to happen. You guys should look at this. Smarter people, go do the math, go do the game theory. So as they start looking at it, I'll probably kind of maybe summarize or retweet or point out good commentary on this. And I'll probably be talking about it live as it happens, because Lord knows I'm going to be like watching this. Most interesting thing this year.
Yeah, should probably go live for it, man. We'll have you back, do it live, all watch it together.
That'd be fun.
It could be insane.
That'd be fun. Well, your scenario there, whenever you said you're building up your blocks and then you kind of absorb or like become the canonical chain, are you stealing that halving block when you do that?
It's kind of like, you can think of almost like the Bitcoin network, each node as like a bunch of people in a room, and they're all yelling what the truth is, and then you just can yell way louder than everybody else and outshout them. So you basically are able to like overwhelm the other blocks that nodes have thought is real. Because basically nodes have a rule which says we're going to take the heaviest chain, the chain that has got the most proof of work, and the most proof of work is the chain with the highest block height, so the most blocks on it. So if you put more, if a node in that few milliseconds sees, like, they think they've got block 840,000, and they see another couple blocks come in with a different block at 840,000 and another block at 840,001, then they will say that's the heaviest chain, that's the truth, that miner is the one who gets that block.
Gotcha.
This is one that I like. I'll probably have to get better at explaining. This is my first time actually trying to explain this to an audience who's like not mining native. Yeah, thanks. I'm trying to help out here.
I actually think that epic sat once that sells, it could kind of ignite like more mainstream of like the collectability of rare sats, right? Because let's say that epic sat sells for like 1.2 million or dollars or something, right? Then that's going to hit all the news headlines, right?
Yeah.
Epic sat sells, there's only 3 of them, and then people are going to start, oh wow, like how could I get that, or what else is similar to that? And I'm in the camp as being a collector of sports cards and other memorabilia growing up, that like the whole rare and exotic sat category and industry is it has changed digital collectibles forever, in my opinion. And I think we see like the big sports card industry, like Panini and Tops and all them, eventually possibly getting here, because just hear me out with this. You could technically do like rookie cards that are inscribed on that player's rookie year sat uncommon or something like that, right? So there's so many things you can do with it, but I'm excited for that epic sat, and kind of, you know, the whole halving event's gonna be so exciting. There's gonna be so much involved with it. What do you think, Shizzy? Do you think it's gonna be a big, huge event? Like people are gonna be fighting over it?
Well, I think it'd be good if like someone took the epic sat and just inscribed onto it, right? Just said,
Oh
screw it,
man,
screw it. I'm putting my name on this freaking thing. Like that is the biggest.
blasphemy!
But that is the biggest show of wealth that you could possibly have. Just saying, I'm gonna put Shizzy on the epic sat forever, right? Like that would be the biggest. Like holy crap! Like I don't know. I'd something. I mean, we were cool to have it, obviously, but it's in there forever, and then you could sell it. I don't know. What do you think?
I would love that. I mean, a lot of us in the space, you know, you can see like cases like this too. We just kind of like the craziest shit to happen. That's
Yeah.
like our ideal scenario. Everybody do the
Chaos.
weirdest, most crazy shit. I mean, statistically, it's going to be a Chinese pool, right? Some of these Chinese miners are just
Yeah.
like fucking deep pocketed OG
Yeah.
Bitcoiners.
Yeah.
And for them, they'd be like, oh yeah, couple million. I'll put, you know, my name on that.
Yeah.
So be it. You know, it's a free and open network.
Yeah.
If Luxor gets it, that'd be awesome. I don't know what we'd do with it.
That'd be cool if they inscribed like every member of the team into the epic set and just kept it. You know what I mean? Like how
Yeah.
big I mean, obviously you guys are there to make money, right? So you're gonna pass up $30 million, which is could be like it could be something
$30 million.
Dude, I don't know. I don't know how to value these things. The market,
Yeah.
you know what's interesting? I feel like we actually found a nice price for uncommons. Because remember, like for a while there was like, what is an uncommon worth? Well, now we've got, I mean, the market's still fairly illiquid, but like we have agreed upon prices for uncommons. If you recall, all the shit was like OTC. Nobody had any kind of like pricing, and it's just a bunch of Discord DMs. And so now it's like, now we have fair and open pricing for some of these. We have multiple categories of Satoshis. You have the people who are in the business of producing them and delivering them to market, the people who collect them. You got a whole industry. It's a small industry, but the whole industry about like, you know, manipulating them and doing things. I just think that's really fucking cool.
Yeah. And how cool was the launch the other day with the commoners? Like they use Luminex and they use Magic Set, so you could just go to Luminex, grab your uncommon, inscribe on it on the next block, and then boom, you want one in the collection. Like I thought that was one of the coolest things that I've ever seen. It was like 3 different like things all doing one thing, and it ended up being a 10,000 uncommon collection, the first ever.
Yeah, I didn't think it would mint out. But again, you know me, fade what I think the market's going to do. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that was pretty impressive. It also really demonstrated like it was a good test case for how thin the books are for uncommons.
Yeah.
Because uncommons went about double during that time period, right?
That's $800.
Okay, yeah, triple even. Like what were like 150, 200 before?
Yeah, well,
On average,
360 today. Yeah.
Yeah. So they popped up, market corrected, more uncommons on the market. It's an interesting test case for like how the market reacts. You know, that's probably the most fascinating thing to me. We minted a few commoners because we've got some uncommon sats lying around. I don't know like what the collection will do. It is a I mean, one of the I know
first.
Yeah, I know the guy behind it, and I really like him. I don't know if it's public or not, but I know the guy behind it, and I really like him. So I hope that he succeeds.
Nice.
Yeah, man. I got people in the chat saying, "Do they look at the chat?" Sometimes we're always looking at the chat. We're having a good conversation real quick. But I want to give we're doing a couple giveaways real quick. I just want to give this little little break for a second. But I actually have a question. Maybe you know, Charlie. But so what you have to do for this giveaway? It's real simple, real easy. All you have to do is let me grab this. Go to here. Go to or.io. Go to our inscription, which is our OG pass that is not released yet. Just go to inscription number 56321-706. Go down the comments, and the first person to get the comment correct wins the prize. Super simple, super easy. Remember, it's I'll leave this up there, 56321-706. And the question is, and I got the question from the answer from this book right here called Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper, one of my favorite books. So the question is, let me find it right here. Here we go. Dorian Nakamoto lived approximately how many miles away from Hal Finney in Temple City, California? You know this answer, Charlie? How far did they live?
Oh, dude, it was like a handful of miles. It was like 2 or 10 or something.
So you're close.
We'll see the first. I'll see the first person.
I feel like that's a tough one, man. Like,
I know it right away because I think Hal Finney, is Satoshi.
Well, you just said that was your favorite book.
It is
so
my favorite
of course
book,
you know it.
I think in the book he says, Hal Finney, Dorian Nakamoto worked for the government. Dorian Nakamoto was showing Hal Finney some things. Hal Finney kind of got into it, got going with it, and kind of was like, all right, I'm just going to name this after Dorian, who's a freaking genius. I'll go with Satoshi Nakamoto. And boom, that's how we got Satoshi Nakamoto. He enlisted Adam Back. He enlisted Nick Szabo. Nick Szabo read the white paper. Adam Back helped with the tech. Boom, we got Bitcoin. That's how I see it.
Well, I mean, like I always remember hearing that like Dorian Nakamoto lived like 1 or 2 blocks away from him. That was always the thing that I heard. But like we gotta see here who gets the closest, I guess you would say. So are we putting a time limit on this?
Just the first whoever gets the first. I mean, we can come back to it later and see who got it first. But
yeah, okay. So
I have the answer written here. We'll just hold off on the answer and just jump to another topic, and then we'll come back to it.
I love this question, by the way. Have you guys heard of the Bitcoin lab leak hypothesis?
No.
So
sounds like the Wuhan lab leak hypothesis.
I know it's fun because somebody came up with it around the same time. It's a fun coin. The idea is it unifies all the things people want to like claim about Bitcoin, like it's some government project or something. The lab leak hypothesis is that Bitcoin is some kind of NSA government project, but it wasn't ever supposed to be released, and someone or
Dorian.
it was accidentally kind of got out into the wild. Like Bitcoin itself, like escaped from
Dorian
the lab.
gave it to Hal Finney and said, "Take this, otherwise we're screwed."
Yeah.
Have you seen the interview, like the news interview with him? He looks so like stressed, like he just doesn't want to be there. He's like, "No, I am not the creator of Bitcoin," but he very well could be.
He's the creator that we need. Maybe not that we deserve, but that we need.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're right though. I think it was created in a government facility, and I think it got leaked through to Dorian Nakamoto to Hal Finney. Hal Finney enlisted guys like Adam Back and Nick Szabo, who were part of the cypherpunks, right? And I just think that's how we got Bitcoin. I'm actually, I'd put money on that, but that's just me. What do you think?
I would love to bet, but I also hope we never know. Like part of the beauty that we don't know.
Yeah,
100%. That's definitely the beauty of Bitcoin is like we don't know who for a fact who he is, and there's like people claiming to be him, and that's the beauty of it. Like then they can't back it up because if they could, then it would already be like out there as fact. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
The answers are coming in. I'm getting a couple of you guys got the answer, but no one's got it directly. Yagobi, you know the answer. You see my screen.
That's why I said that maybe we should put a time limit because I don't think anybody's gonna get it exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we got a couple. I kind of want someone to get a little closer. I guess should I just give it to the guy who said it first?
Well, I mean, did he say the exact answer?
Oh, he's pretty close. He's pulling something away. Give it to him.
Do you want to like cut it off? Because like
he
wasn't the first
it doesn't
person.
matter. Yeah,
he wasn't the first one. Chef PFP at the very top.
That just happened 1 minute ago, bro.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
so it
Sorry.
was 6, and then
It's going the
yeah,
other
let's give it
direction.
to him. So the answer
Okay.
is Dorian Nakamoto lived approximately 1.25 miles away from Halfini in Temple City, Arizona. Got that from the book. I don't know how right it is. I think it's right,
Temple
but
City, California.
yeah.
I don't know where you saw Arizona from, but yeah. But
Oh, I said Arizona? I meant California. But yeah, so congratulations, this wallet. You will get a blue wand from
wow,
BRC 420.
that's a good prize, guys. Because I'm
Yeah.
super bullish on that blue wand. It's
Yeah, man.
supposed to be the gateway to very much success, says Confucius.
All right. Where you want to go next?
All right, let's see here. I want to talk about this a little bit, and I'm not sure how familiar Charlie is on RSIC Meta Protocol, but this was the airdrop that was dropped to frog holders, node monkey holders, punk holders, I think Bitcoin puppets, and a couple other different collections. And the team came out and claimed that if you activated this in your wallet, then you could start mining the first runes token. So I actually flipped mine really quick because I felt like, Casey came out and said earlier, hey, look, if the runes protocol hasn't been launched, then anything that's claiming to be like a runes token isn't legitimate. Is that still kind of the consensus in your camp over there of your group of friends?
So I actually think RSIC is a cool idea. I think it's decently executed. It's pretty interesting. I can say definitively, categorically, it's not Casey. I hope that's very clear. It's not Casey. And if this were Casey, I'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, this is the weakest first thing for you to do ever." So,
But you just said it was a good idea.
well, you could be a good idea, but I mean,
Not Casey, good idea.
I don't think Casey has the best ideas. I disagree with him regularly on a bunch of shit, specifically like putting runes into the Ord client at the first place. But anyway,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so it's definitely not Casey. I think it's a cool idea. I'm kind of surprised nobody did it because it's kind of so obvious that okay, you goddamn degenerates. Of course we're gonna start farming runes with inscriptions, even though they're not fucking related. Of course we're gonna do that. I think it was decently executed. I don't know where this goes. Obviously, I think it was a little bit. I think it's a little unfortunate that they said they were the first thing or first runes, but I pretty much intuited this as we're the first token to say we're runes, and it's gonna be a future date. Like that, I interpret it as being we're the we're the first people to start actively lining people up to receive this token. But I don't know. That was a nice little 24-hour narrative on Twitter.
Yeah.
I had a tweet which I think a lot of people thought was actually in specific reference to this, but I was actually tweeting in reference more to Leonidas and some other ideas on
Airdrop.
Farming and airdrop. Of course, I try to leave it a little bit ambiguous to clickbait people and wanting to talk, but I actually feel pretty strongly about Bitcoin's privacy and that particularly discouraging address reuse. And so I just think okay, if we're going to do all this stuff on Bitcoin, can we at least try to encourage good Bitcoin practices, such as not using address reuse? And a lot of the farming mechanisms are going to incentivize to churn your address, list stuff, gamify it, swap, whatever, which is fine. But I'm come on, guys. I think you can actually do both. I think you can create a game system to that aligns with what I think is good for Bitcoin, which is good basic Bitcoin practice, not address reuse. And you can do a whole system of of the whole, point allocation, token, whatever. I've floated some ideas in some side chats, but I'm certain some people will do those. But I don't know. That's what that tweet was about. Just because I know that it's just the thing on everybody's mind right now.
Yeah.
I actually love the RSec thing, man. I think it's awesome. I think because I don't think we're gonna have an Ordi on runes. I think we're gonna have 9 Ordis on runes, right? So being the first is just a way of saying we're one of the first. And I think whoever did this is it's just fun. It's all it is. It's nothing serious. It's just I'm just gonna put this out there and see what happens. And it's an experiment. We're experimenting. It's I love it. And I received I received 2 of them. I immediately activated them, and I'm going to earn this runes token. They were 100% free to me. I want to participate in this experiment. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I think it's weird because I feel like these people come out like with so much confidence, like they know exactly like how like their token is going to be rune like a runes protocol token. But like, is that code even out? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, are they just creating these UTXO model tokens and saying, I'm gonna bridge this over to runes because it's UTXO model based, and there's gonna be a bridge? Because to me, I feel it's weird. I don't know. Am I off by thinking that? Because like we haven't seen anything from Casey
So
yet, right?
Well, so you can see that he's developing runes in open source
GitHub.
into the
Yeah.
Ord client. So like we can see what the current implementation of Casey's runestone is. Now he changes parts of it, but uh really as of about 30 days ago, the big kind of ideas and the basic building blocks of it were pretty much set in stone. Not set in stone, but like pretty well defined. So we actually know how it's going to work. And
Okay.
you have to kind of be like a GitHub, crawler and be watching that pretty closely, to know how that works. So, um, we do know what runes will look like. Um, so RSIC is going to be indexed, I assume, by a combination of address and the inscriptions themselves by whoever is behind the RSIC meta protocol or runes game. And then they will issue the runes token according to their own log that they're keeping, their own index that they're keeping upon the creation of the runes token after the halving. So again, that's like they're keeping track of who all will get these by looking at
Mm,
how their rules of the inscriptions, the RSIC inscriptions are going, and then they'll issue that at some later date. So you are trusting them to either publish a clear and definitive rule set for the game. So there's been some kind of like cryptic, guidance, but you're either like trusting them to like publish a very clear like index and total like rule set for it, or you're trusting them to keep track of everybody the right way. I think if you really wanted to spend way too much time going through the on-chain data, you could arrive at this for yourself. But I don't know. I mean, they seem to have a pretty decent. Whoever's doing it seems to be decently savvy on the development side. I know people have suspicions about who it is. I think those are probably directionally right, but there's probably more to the story. But it's not Casey. So whoever's on the development side of it is generally competent. I'll say that.
yeah.
That seems to me to be clear.
It definitely is fun to activate it and see that thing turn orange and realize that you're mining tokens. But knowing Casey, I feel like he could he's probably just waiting right before he launches it to add another rule in there to where like because I don't think he likes front running stuff, right? And so he's gonna try to do it as fair as possible. So these people, like you said, it makes complete sense. They're just lining up their people that are doing what the tasks that they put out there for them to either mine their tokens or get whitelisted or whatever.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, this is why I love ordinals though, because this is creative, it's fun, and we see stuff like this all the time.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
I don't think it matters if this token is the 12th, 14th token. Technically, it was the first one, right? Because we're mining it now in January, right? So to me, it doesn't matter if it's token number 50. It's still going to be considered the first one because it was mined in January.
I don't agree with that because the inscription date's going to be there.
I personally am kind of tired of the whole first debate. I just think that in 2 or 3 years from now, we're not really going to care. And because I was that guy doing the numbering debate, right? The numbering debate happened after our last podcast. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who famously says, okay, like you can fade me on like short-term calls, but I'm pretty certain that like inscription numbers won't matter long term. Maybe for like sub 100K where you can kind of remember what the numbers are, but after that, like tell me what numbers you have after 100K. Nobody really like minds that anymore. If any, and actually one of the I'm going off a tangent, but like the first is really fun, but I think that's only because like the only reason we're having this is because like a year ago today, there was a numbering scheme on the ordinals.com site. And everything that's happened since is like downstream of that. Nobody cares what's first on ETH or Solana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with that. We got another question about your expertise from the mining industry. How can a miner sit on a block? Once a new block is added to the chain, that block you're sitting on is no longer valid because of the header hash. Who's not gonna include the block you let past you?
I know what that person's trying to say, I think. And this is a really good question. So what I'm talking about is, you've got the pool or the miner who's going to release more than one block at the same time. What they do is they don't release the first block. So the way the mining works is anytime a new block hits the chain, typically you would look at the block header, the block hash, and you start building on top of that. But this is basically a strategy where you hit a block and you don't release it and you start mining off of that. So it's like you're mining almost in private, getting a head start compared to everybody else. Now, this runs some risk because you actually go out on the risk curve that statistically a block's found every 10 minutes. So the longer you wait, it's almost like playing chicken with the network, actually, that you're just kind of like hoping that people won't hit more blocks and you have to like go off of that. But so you don't release the block and you start mining on top of that. And maybe you hit 2 blocks and you start mining on top of that. And you can do this. It actually works really well, especially if you are both the mining data center operator and the pool. So this works really well for vertically integrated miners. I don't know if this is a very good explanation. I think it's kind of complicated. I'm not even like the best person to explain it, but because this thing is like sitting out there, kind of waiting to happen, and it happens all the time. Like happened with the DGods block, the DGods mint block. There was a reorg for that because it was like a 9 Bitcoin fee rate block. Okay, if LaFrog thinks that that it helps them understand, then I'm down. Also, I'll probably try to talk about this in like maybe on Twitter or like other maybe other platforms or something, because it does seem to be pretty interesting to a lot of the ordinals folks who don't like spend all day thinking about Bitcoin mining.
Sounds good.
Nice. Yep, appreciate that. All right,
miners.
Let's see here. Let's go over here. So ZK rollups have obviously been a huge topic in the space because scaling is something that everybody really, it's something that we need if we're gonna continue to have these Bitcoin layer 1 assets. Are you in the camp that doesn't really believe that ZK rollups are a solution, or do you feel like it's inevitable that it's going to be the solution for scaling Bitcoin in the current state of Bitcoin?
That's a huge question. I'm probably not going to I'm probably not going to give you an answer of whether I think it is or isn't. I think I'll say this, it's going to be done. So we're going to do it, and we will see if it does long-term scale Bitcoin. I don't know. I didn't really I wasn't like super intimately familiar with how zero knowledge proofs work and like how rollups work prior to this, and I've spent a lot more time looking at them since. So it's pretty clear that there's a bunch of teams who are working on it who are confident they can start implementing this on Bitcoin. And I'm kind of excited because this is a significant moment for Bitcoin. But what's interesting is at the same time that we're doing this, a lot of the people who've been doing these on other chains like ETH, some of the kind of criticism of the long-term viability of roll-ups is kind of coming to a head on ETH. Like they're years ahead of us. They've been doing this for a while. And some of the people who used to be really optimistic about this are probably turning a little bit more pessimistic, at least just from my conversations with them. It's kind of like, it actually kind of feels like the Lightning Network conversation on Bitcoin. Like people used to say on Bitcoin, like Lightning is the only scaling solution. It's going to change everything. And now a lot of people are like, well, Lightning's got some systemic issues. It doesn't work in these scenarios. Is it kind of lost its promise? What's funny is we're seeing this in other chains right now. A lot of people are going like, well, our ZK, our rollups, our sovereign rollups, ZK rollups, optimistic rollups, are these actually like the solution? And there's a little bit of a disillusionment happening. However, I think this is a big business. I think it's a really promising thing to even be able to do on Bitcoin. So I think it's going to be, a dominant narrative for the next 1 to 3 years. But I don't know what the long-term solution is. Yeah.
I think people are excited about it because you don't have to change Bitcoin Core if you do take this route. And but you're right. There seems to be a lot of money that's being thrown at it, like VC money. But the part that I'm worried about is because people see like Bitcoin scalability as like this huge cash cow. Now they saw the demand that Ordinals brought, right? It's like you're just having people just use words and then like, let's market the hell out of this and then build it later after we got like the hype up. And that's
SAVM.
Yeah. And so like, that's all, that's like the crypto market in a nutshell, right? Like the past, like, since DeFi started. But I think someone that's been over in Ordinals, obviously you've been in Ordinals longer than us, but we've been in here a good
you guys
are
time. OGs. You guys are
yeah.
You're OGs by every measure of the word.
Appreciate that. Yeah. And so, we care about the ecosystem and stuff like that. And it was easy to kind of get quickly blinded for a second because things were bullish, like, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, like very bullish. And so now we're seeing all these layer 2 solutions come over. But then like Shizzy and I kind of had to take a step back and be like, okay, who do we know that's been building in the space along while we've been here the whole time? And they're coming out with a solution. So we're trying to kind of stick to that in our mind or have like strong partnerships with people like that as well. So I don't know. Do you see like more scammy stuff coming in because of that?
Oh yeah, 100%. Obviously. I think the scams have only just begun to start. I don't think the scamming has even begun yet, guys. I mean,
So
if you've
sad.
been if you've been here for multiple crypto and Bitcoin cycles, like this shit hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, the house of cards is just, they're barely building the foundation.
But like something like Satoshi VM was so obvious, right? They're ERC20. Like it was just like who would buy that? Like you have to be a complete moron like on the crypto banter Wendy O side of things and not knowing what we have going on over here. You're the outside looking in. They didn't scam any Ordinals people. They only scammed EVM guys, and it's such a bad look and already. But like I just think that we have to just completely like shut down things like Satoshi VM right from the beginning.
Well, I actually kind of missed the whole Satoshi VM like narrative cycle. Like I didn't. It was what's funny is like it was on my like list of things to look into. By the time I looked into it, it had kind of like done a full like closed loop. I was like, okay, I guess I don't have to because I don't have to learn about this. Yeah. So
Shizzy, but what you were saying, we got when we first heard about it, like we heard it from Francis, not trying to put that on him, but like, like we were like, oh wow, what is this, right? At first. And then I think once we realized there was an ERC20, that was really being the main token that was hyped up. That's what kind of turned us off on it. But at first, we were just like, okay, mainstream's coming to ordinals, like that's what it seemed like for a split second. But I think that's how easy you can get sucked into, like, okay, people are trying to take advantage of like Bitcoin layer 1 asset scalable solutions. So
I don't know. It's interesting because like a lot of the hardcore maxis would say everything that's not Bitcoin itself is a shitcoin, it's a scam. And I'd be like, I don't think so. I actually think most people probably genuinely think that something is interesting or new. And then they kind of have to learn that it's not. And I generally believe that most people aren't trying to scam anybody, and because like look, all the old Bitcoin maximalists, all those guys were huge shitcoiners in 2017. All the hardcore like maxis lost their shit on
Max Kaiser.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Max
so
Coin.
what's funny is like I try to be like, okay, like I would take you a lot more seriously if you just admitted and you were more forthcoming about this, and then you didn't like make it your whole brand to shit on everybody else. It's funny because I think a lot of people think that's like what I do, but I'm like, I'm a technical critic. I don't like, there's only really one person in this whole ecosystem who I actually have a beef with, and that's I've already said my piece about them. So
So we actually jump to our final question here. This is from a viewer. We actually talked about this last time you were on the show, because actually it's a nice wrap up. Thoughts on miners front running bitmaps in the future to monetize in game, and the multiple non-arbitrary data fields that will spawn endless nats, or is all overhyped?
This is a really good question. First of all, shout out to our last chat, which was like, was it August or September?
It was bear market, definitely bear.
Yeah,
Definitely cold in here.
I guess it was a bear market. I gotta hand it to you, Shizzy, because like I still think bitmaps are really, really dumb. But what I do want to emphasize is that it's an incredible display of social consensus. Like the people think they're valuable, so they're valuable. And then you made a good point, which I was like, don't you understand? Like miners are gonna like MEV this, like we're gonna front run this. And your response is like perfect, because it stopped me dead in my tracks, which is like, yeah, that means they're valuable. And I was like, well, damn, that's a good point. And so in response to this, thoughts on miners front running bitmaps in the future, I would say that bitmaps have to be a lot more valuable than they currently are for miners to start implementing this at scale. For example, we at Luxor could be getting all the bitmaps for the blocks we mine. We would just put the number .bitmap in a lower transaction index in the blocks we produce. So we'd pin a transaction. But we're not, because it's not really enough to kind of like risk the other things that we would do, because now we'd have to, there's a lot of other kind of considerations we have for our business model. If bitmaps approach, I know like what's the mean, 0.1 or 1 Bitcoin or something or whatever. If bitmaps approach like a higher number like that, I would expect this to happen.
Yeah.
So,
and they will.
Yeah. I want everybody who owns bitmaps to make a shit ton of money. I would love to see that.
It's not even about that. It's just like there's so many people building. I mean, you have Inscribable, you have Benny, you have Blockamoto. It's just like the top devs who were Ordinals guys, they're all building on bitmaps. So and on top of the WMAP token and wrapping the Bitcoin for coins, it's going to take a lot of Bitcoins out of circulation. Also allow some of these big boys to come in and buy the tokens instead of buying the maps, and the maps will be locked up. And it's definitely like inevitable, and I think it would be smart for someone like Luxor or another one to grab these, because I want the miners
it already.
Well, right? I want the miners to kind of benefit from this, because at the end of the day, what keeps Bitcoin alive is the miners being able to pay their bills without selling the Bitcoin, right? Sell the bitmaps, drop it on me, I'll buy them. Like that's fine. Like to me, it's just like I'm just saying, like I just
discount.
just thinking in my head, it's a way for the miners not to sell their Bitcoin and still make money. Like sell your uncommon sats, sell your rare sats, sell your bitmaps, keep your Bitcoin. Because at the end of the day, we're all team Bitcoin, right? We want Bitcoin number to go up.
Are miners thinking that way?
No.
Yeah, I was about to say, because there's a small group of them,
No,
maybe.
man, dude, like it's hard for me to communicate to you like how
Yeah.
completely just like disconnected the mining industry in general is
For
from
now.
all this. Um it is like us and maybe like F2 pool kind of watches this
Yeah.
stuff, but like nobody even looks at this. And it's wild. Um it's man, she's gonna make me ape into a shit ton of bitmaps because it's so exciting.
Dude, it's
I think it's
inevitable.
awesome. I mean, like, I'm gonna be a technical critic of them. I still think it's just like
But
so
you're also the same guy who said you like meme coins. What's the difference?
well, exactly. I mean, so like the thing is like I love finding out that my opinions are wrong. Because
Yeah.
if I had because like what's the point of having an opinion? Like there's a difference between opinion and fact. Like
Yeah.
if and opinions are things that you change based upon new information
Yep.
and based upon situations, and they can evolve. And so it is not an objective fact whether or not bitmaps are a good or bad idea. This social consensus and it's a compelling system that we could be definitive about some technical things like yes bitmaps can be front ran by the block producers um and there may be I think there are better ways of implementing bitmap actually but like that's probably less important than just the market declaring like we like these we want to build stuff and you can't deny that it's such a simple idea that it makes it very viral so that anybody who wants to like write some code, develop a thing, can ship it to a hungry audience. I mean, one would say if you held a gun to my head, I'd be like, yeah, Bitcoin itself is social consensus. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
rules to it, but it's like it is a network which is run by people, and people turn these machines off and on, and we
Yeah.
consent to being a part of the network and running the infrastructure. So um I I think it's so funny that I have to talk about nats and bitmaps, but if the market wants to really declare and accrue value to these ecosystems, then the market will do it and we will figure out what we want to do on our pool. I just think everyone else in like Bitcoin mining is totally not prepared for this. Like their
Yeah.
brains don't think like this. They're infrastructure guys, they're energy guys, they're like data center management guys. They're not just like
They're like old school IT mindsets.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're just it's the craziest thing for like what I'd say like the cultural consensus layer to come in and have to like change how those guys do run their businesses. So
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I say I'm a Bitcoin accelerationist because like I want to accelerate this process. I want to see what happens. I want to get there faster. I want more people to own Bitcoin. I want them to do more things with it. And if that's bitmaps, then so be it. Because um, bitmaps are fun.
You
I'm
can't seem
gonna
to
go,
not laugh whenever you say bitmaps though. It's hilarious.
dude. I'm fine being the guy who criticized them and their skyrocket. I kind of love seeing them go up, and I'm gonna
You're like
buy
the
some.
Jim Cramer of ordinals, man.
Yeah, but Jim Cramer's like prideful about him being right, where I'm only prideful
Yeah.
some of the time.
Yeah.
So
True.
yeah,
Well, there's a strong argument that like bitmap, other than of course Bitcoin and then ordinal theory, like bitmap is the protocol, if you will, that has the strongest social consensus coming out of ordinals. You know what I mean? I mean,
definitely.
that's a
Outside
fair
of
argument,
Ordinals
right?
itself, it is. Yeah.
I actually I think in a year from now we're gonna have you back on and you're gonna tell us Luxor is grabbing every bitmap they could possibly get their hands on and they're selling all their uncommon sats. I think in a year from now it's going to be one of the biggest things in ordinals, not bitmaps, but like also all these rare sats and stuff like that as well. I think the miners are going to stop dumping their Bitcoin and start dumping these on to us because we need them. We want to build on them. We want to tokenize them. We want to inscribe on them with it being the sats. And I think you guys and the miners are going to give that to us at floor prices because of that reason.
Yeah.
And you
I
guys are going
think
to
you're
pay your
right.
miner bills.
Shizzy, yeah, that prediction is going to be true. Like you're right. We're going to do it because we're in the business of making money,
Yes.
and if the price of these things goes up, it's going to hit a threshold where now where it's like it's too big to ignore. I'm not ignoring it. I just
Yeah.
am skeptical of it, but if the market speaks, the market can do what you think it can't. And it's the I saw someone in the chat, invisible hand. That's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
I love the market because like some people try to make this a thing of principle, and like I think there are principles and values to be had, but like the market is this arbiter of truth, which it's not. The market isn't supposed to be moral. It's just supposed to help us understand what is. So yeah.
But when the market's bad, though, then the market changed the market's mind. So
Yeah.
like that. Actually, that's kind of one of the last questions that I have for both of y'all is like we saw in the DeFi boom and a little bit after that, like NFTs skyrocketed. You had all these fungibles, and then like implementations of like freaking copies of EVM chains of EVM chains of EVM chains. And eventually what happened was once, like the liquidity started to run dry, like a lot of that stuff died off, right? A lot of these projects, they're no longer going to be there. Do you see like the Ordinals ecosystem like having more sustainability than that because it's on Bitcoin and maybe it's a little bit more creative? Or do you feel like we can be honest here, guys. Like, is it just another cycle?
You first, Shizzy.
I don't know, man.
Maybe I shouldn't have asked that question. We're going to hold that question for the next episode at the end of the year, guys.
I'm fine to say I'm going to say yes. A simple yes. I think it'll look very different. I don't think it's going to look at all like it does today. And I don't think it's really going to be about images and JPEGs or fungible tokens. But I don't know what it'll look like. But I think it will. I think it's here to stay.
I mean, the things just change so rapidly, right? So it's just like I think everything's like we look back to videos we made 2 months ago and be like, wow, like there's insane amount of new stuff today. So to say yes or no to that, it's really hard. So but man, we really appreciate you coming on, man. It's been absolutely amazing. Our conversations, dude. If we didn't have a hard stop, man, I would go for another hour. But we have a call.
You guys are really good interviewers, and like, it's interesting because like I don't agree with everybody in the space, but what I do like is people who just like they're committed, they're pretty honest, they're curious. Those are the best conversations. And so yeah, great chatting with you guys, and I'll see you at the end of 2024.
Yeah, man.
Or
maybe Miami
or Nashville, right?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I hate Miami.
Hey, you got to cancel your tickets.
No, I fly to Miami. No, I'll see you in Nashville, guys.
Yeah,
man.
All
See
right.
you, buddy.
Appreciate having you on, man.
Peace.
See ya.
Well, that was awesome, man. Really fun. I had a great time, and I mean, there's a lot of comments in here. I know we're gonna get ripped by the base community for not asking about some stuff, but kept getting this, and kept getting this, kept getting this, and I just didn't want to get into it. We went into it last time he was on the show.
Yeah,
kind of just wanted to.
Well,
and we get it, guys. We get it. We sorry, we guys hate us for not answering that. We just wanted to have a fun talk.
Yeah, well, it was a great conversation, right? It was a great, and it was weird because it was like very organic and smooth, and how we were able to hop from one topic to the other and just really got sucked into each conversation. So, hey, at the end of the day, C.B Spears has been here a very long time, very connected with the core team in Ordinals, and he works for Luxor. I mean, goodness, like you want to pick his brain in terms of when he's on the show, right? So definitely a great live. Let's finish this off with one last giveaway.
I
think we had one more question here, right? Let's see. Okay, guys, one more giveaway. We're gonna do the same rules. You got to go over to our inscription, which is inscription number 56321-706 on ord.io. I am going to also give away one wand. So 2 wands today, guys. And I wanted to hold on to these wands because I was so bullish on them. Shizzy can attest to that because I tell him every day. But all right, let's put in this last question here. Let's see. Are we gonna do the easy one?
Yep. So the first one to answer it will get the wand, and the next 3 who answer it will get Shizzies. I'll give away 3 Shizzies today.
Okay, so we already give away one wand.
Yep, and then we'll give away one more wand for the first
Okay.
person to answer. The first person that comes down here to this this thing over here. So this is obviously going downwards. So this is 30 minutes ago, and this is 33 minutes ago. So you know what I mean? 36 minutes ago, 33. So the first person to get this answer in there will win a wand, and then the next three will win Shizzies.
Okay,
So.
cool. So this is for the one that I'm giving away, and the question is, here we go. What was the last collection inscription? Cursed collection inscription.
Cursed, yeah.
What was the last cursed collection inscription before the Jubilee block?
Yep. Cursed. Got to be cursed, guys. Got to be cursed. Let's see what we got here. Let me give a quick refresh. Let's see who's gonna win the wand from Yagobi. Who's gonna win the wand? Goosenos! He got it. Congratulations. Pop your name in there for us. Let us know who won that. DYWY. If you don't mind.
DYWY. All right, and then you're giving away 3 Shizzies on this one.
Yep.
On one question, right?
We got another Goosenos. Okay, I think he's the winner. It's 2 more. You got to write Goosenos in here. Got to write Goosenos. 2 more. Let's see.
Well, I thought we were going to use this.
Shizzy got it. Shizzy, congratulations.
Nice. What about this last question? Are we going to do it or no?
Yeah.
Save your last Shizzy.
Okay, so keep the 2 here.
Yeah.
And then we'll just do one more. Okay, I did say I got to give it.
Okay,
but
that's fine.
let's give away. I can give away something else.
I'll give away a Yagobi. I'll give away
no. Well, you can give away that too. I actually bought a Foxy pet to give away. I got it for like $31, dude. No, the pet, the Foxy pet.
Okay.
So I actually bought that to give away today. So
okay, so hold on a second though. Like you have all the information there, right? Because let me write down the last 4s of those real quick.
You don't have to. I'm just going to go here and do it right from there.
I know, but how do we know what question they won and stuff is the thing. I guess the answers. The answers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
the
cool.
answers. We're good.
Okay. So this is for the pet that Shizzy's giving away. And here is the question. Who was the first to interview Benny the Dev from Track?
Who was it?
Who was the very first to interview Benny the Dev from Track?
So you get a Foxy.
Little trick question on this one.
Foxy pet.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Let's see. Who's it gonna be? Who's it gonna be? You're gonna keep refreshing until we get it.
Oh, no one knows that one.
No one knows who was the first interview. Was it Mark? Oh, you guys.
Who was it? Okay.
55JXE.
Congrats to all the winners. You guys are very smart people, and very quick trigger fingers. But
so we were the first. I remember finding Benny Dev. This is a fun story, real quick. I couldn't find him anywhere. There was no the Discord was really low back then. There was barely anything in there. I went to Rarity Garden and went to their Telegram, and that is how I found the Benny the Dev. And we were the first people to have Benny on the show. It wasn't for another month later, 2 months later, for Block Runner even started talking about Track. That's how first is first that we are, guys. But
yeah, I remember we were just like super hungry. We like even after we interviewed Benny and interviewed Expectar, like this was before the name change to Ordinal Revolution. We were DeFi discussions.
I think we got to change it
again. and I remember like no one even was like they weren't even asking like who are these guys. So I was like, we're the first ones to interview Benny the Dev from Track. That's right. I posted on that on Twitter. But we appreciate you guys, man. This was amazing live. As always, you guys showed up for us. We love y'all. Y'all are awesome. Every single episode you guys show up for us. We appreciate it, man.
If you cannot watch, you can definitely listen. I'm going to have this up the recording on Apple, Spotify, and all your favorite streaming places. So if you cannot watch, you can definitely listen there, guys. We appreciate you guys so much. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning in about 9 hours from right now. We're going to be on Twitter, so check us out there. We have a Spaces. Ordinal Revolution presents Kimmy and Friends. It's all about Bitcoin builders. It's all about the building of Bitcoin on Ordinals. So we appreciate you guys. Check that out for us. And any last words, Yagobi?
Nope. I think we're good, man.
Let's get it.
Peace.
See you guys.
Ordinal Revolution. Let's go.